What's up? Firebreath here with another physical gaming video. Today we are gonna look at 10 amazing setups you can use to surprise your friends. The game has come a long way since the pieces were just round and transparent. Now they're all different shapes and colors, and they are beautiful setups that you can build. Starting with number 1, Pineapple. For a 2-player game, a highly offensive earth build you can use to attack your opponent with 3 elements at the front and further deploy more elements that are hidden in the barriers, and your lord is stationed far back and you're hoping that the opponent will never reach that far because you're constantly pressuring them with attacks. The second setup today, a more creative and arty one, Picasso. Good, the lord elevated, but you got to be careful where you position the lord, that when it falls off and the structure collapses, the lord doesn't just roll off the field and you lose. Number 3, Caterpillar. Simply builds a high tower using all the air barriers, leaves no defense left for your elements. So all the elements can be stacked in a separate tower and you have a tiny surface where you can be attacked, and as such quite useful in a multiplayer game. Next up is Pillars of Heaven, and there are several ways to set this up. The general concept is one connected barrier at the front to absorb the shocks from enemy attacks, and a second structure behind that to elevate your lord, so that when the whole structure gets pushed back, your lord does not get pushed off the field with it, but rather slides on top of the barrier and stays safe in the field. The 5th setup is Magma Tempel, and this uses the holes in the fire barriers to connect them and reinforce the front standing barrier with another barrier behind it. And also, again, we see a second structure separate just for the lord behind the outer barrier. So generally with these structures, the outer barrier keeps the opponents out of your base, and in case an opponent's element gets through the first barrier, there's a second barrier to stop them from knocking your lord out. Now what's nice about this setup is it allows you to have a lot of elements standing up, integrated into your fortress. The next setup is for the standard game, where you play with half the amount of pieces, but there's still endless possibilities. The Kraken uses 6 air barriers and puts the lord up on top, so that when the barriers fall over, the lord is probably still standing on top of other barriers, and is multi-directional wherever the opponents come from. This will keep your lord safe. Shuriken is the next earth setup, which is strong from whatever angle opponents are attacking you. The beauty of this is it looks cool, and you also have 2 barriers left over that you can use either offensively or defensively and place them towards your opponents. The next water setup is the fidget spinner. On this top-down view you can see there's one stack of all the water barriers. The pointy ends of the water barriers are pointing in different directions, so that the elements can be placed on the ends sticking out of the tower and can be deployed into battle in many directions. This keeps not only your lord safe, but also your element in one central tower. Going back to Earth, Mushroom Garden. This definitely will surprise your friends. What actually is the purpose of the setup? Your friends might underestimate you and say, can you even do damage with this sort of setup? This was Mushroom Garden, and last but not least, our 10th setup today, the Lotus. It's one of the more complicated setups. You have 3 water barriers pointing inwards, the lord on top, in the middle, and then 3 water barriers with the pointy ends lying on top of the lord, giving an extra weight. The beauty of this setup is the standing water elements that stand in the holes of the water barriers and allow them to be rolled towards the opponent. These were the 10 amazing setups we are giving to you for Christmas. Stay tuned for more amazing setups on Instagram and Facebook. Submit your own setups and win amazing prizes. Lastly, stay tuned for Dr. Elements is coming back to YouTube.